First, I started off by choosing my case, which was case number 17. I chose this number because I was choosing between number 7 and 17. There was no particular reason, but just my gut instincts. With 26 unopened cases, I have a 1 out of 26 chance of choosing $1 million. I have a probability of 6 out of 26 for choosing my case being more than $100,000. Then when choosing my case, I would have the probability of 13 out of 26 for choosing less than $1,000. And lastly, I would have 7 out of 26 probability when winning less than $100. Then the first round was off. In this round, I had to choose 6 cases. The probability of choosing $1 million was 1 out of 20, which means that I still had the $1 million left somewhere in the mix of cases. The probability of choosing more than $100,000 was 4 out of 20, which means that I lost 2 of the high cases this round. The probability of winning less than $1,000 is now 10 out of 20. This means that I chose 3 cases that were less than $1,000. Winning more than my offer, which was $13,000, would be 7 out of 20. I chose to decline this offer because I still have $1 million somewhere within the cases, and I have 7 cases that I could win with. That was over my offer. During the second round, I had to choose 5 cases, which means the total was down to 15 cases. So now the probability of winning $1 million was 1 out of 15, which means I still had a chance to win $1 million. The probability of winning more than $100,000 was 4 out of 15, which means I kept all the cases from the last round. The probability of winning less than $1,000 came out to 6 out of 15, and I lost 4 cases in the last round that were below $1,000. This round, my offer was $52,000. The probability of winning more than my offer was 5 out of 15. It went down, but I still declined the offer. I chose to decline the offer because, of course, the $1 million was still in the pack somewhere, and I was not going to give up until I knew for a fact that it wasn't in my case. The third round, I had to open 4 cases, which brought the total down to 11 cases. Yet, with all of this, I still had $1 million in play. The probability of winning $1 million was 1 out of 11. The probability of winning more than $100,000 was 3 out of 11, which means I only lost 1 of those cases when opening 4 cases this round. But the probability of winning less than $1,000 was still a case higher. It was 4 out of 11. My next offer was $148,000, and the probability of winning more than the offer was 3 out of 11. The probabilities are getting closer and closer, but I still declined this offer because $1 million was still in play, and I wasn't going to give up until I had it. In round 4, I needed to open 3 cases, which brought the total number of cases down to 8. The probability of winning $1 million was still there because it was 1 out of 8. The probability of winning more than $100,000 was 2 out of 8, which means I lost 1 of my high cases. Lastly, the probability of winning less than $1,000 was the same, 2 out of 8. My offer this round was $194,000, but the probability of me winning more than my offer was 2 out of 8. Yet, the $1 million was still in play, so I decided to decline the offer and keep playing on. Next, it was round 5. I needed to open 2 cases, and it gave me a total of 6 cases, which means that I got rid of 20 cases altogether at the end of this round. The probability of winning $1 million was 1 out of 6, which means that I kept the $1 million in play since the beginning of this game. The probability of winning more than $100,000 was 2 out of 6, and the probability of winning less than $1,000 was 2 out of 6. My offer this round was $279,000. I declined this because of the same reasons for the past rounds, because $1 million was still in play. Now comes the 6th round. I only needed to open 1 case. It was nerve-wracking because I needed to make sure I did not choose the high cases. The total was out of 5 cases, so the probability of winning $1 million was 1 out of 5. I was surprised because it was still in. The probability of winning more than $100,000 was 2 out of 5, and the probability of winning less than $1,000 was 2 out of 5. Basically, the numbers were even, and my offer this time was $355,000. The probability of winning more than that was 2 out of 5, which meant that I still had a chance at the $1 million, and I am a do-or-die person, so I declined and kept going. The 7th round, I needed to choose 1 case, so it brought it down to 4 cases altogether. I still had the $1 million in play, which meant the probability of winning $1 million was 1 out of 4. The probability of winning more than $100,000 was 2 out of 4, and the probability of winning less than $1,000 was 1 out of 4. There were higher cases and lower cases at this point in the game. Then the banker offered me $439,000, and the probability of winning more than my offer was 2 out of 4. I had a chance to keep going for the $1 million, or a little less, which was the $750,000. I still needed to go all the way to see if I could end up with $1 million, so I declined the offer again. In the 8th round, I chose one more case, and the total came out to 3 cases altogether that were left, which included my case. The probability of winning $1 million was 1 out of 3. I was so amazed that I still had the $1 million this far in the game. The probability of choosing more than $100,000 was 2 out of 3 because the $1 million and $750,000 was still there. But the probability of winning less than $1,000 was 0. It was impossible for me to win anything below $1,000. The offer this time was around $585,000. It wasn't enough because I had the 2 highest amounts left on the board, so I declined the offer and went for the next round. Round 9, I only needed to open 1 case. With that, I was left with 2 cases, my own and the one left standing, which was case number 25. I still had $1 million, which meant the probability of winning $1 million was 1 out of 2. The probability of winning more than $100,000 was, of course, 2 out of 2 because I still had the 2 highest amounts left on the board. And since the last round, it is impossible to win anything below $1,000. My offer this time was $875,000. It was definitely more than $750,000, but I did not come all this way to give up now, so I declined the offer and went all the way. My case had the $1 million, and I won it all. During this game, I think that I did maximize my money because throughout the whole game, I knew that the $1 million was still in it, so I kept pushing for the offer to get higher and higher until I hit the $1 million. So I did use the money to the max. At a point in this game, I think that some of the probabilities I came up with afterwards, I would have stopped playing if the $1 million wasn't in play, but the $1 million was in it, so I don't think I would have gave up anyway. If I didn't know the amount of money in my briefcase, I would not have made any different decisions with the offers from the banker because, like I said before, the $1 million was in it the whole game. So no, I would not have done anything differently in this game.